So good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sage and Seer Chats. It is the 21st of May, 2021, very auspicious day, and a very auspicious guest with me today, all the way from Finland. This is the amazing Reeta. She is a homeopath as well, like me, and she's a mother of 4 children. She runs the Transformational School of Homeopathy in Helsinki, and Reeta spends her time predominantly working with birthing mothers and women's health, and especially empowering women. And we're very good friends. We met on a course and we spent some time in London together training, and it's just absolute pleasure. Reeta, welcome to Sage and Seer Chats, and we're going to have a great chat today about homeopathy, and just hope you guys enjoy it. And welcome, Reeta. So good to see you.
Thank you. It's such a bliss for me to be here having a chat on this Friday morning together with you, Janey. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So I guess, you know, with my channel, I'm always trying to help people to become more aware of homeopathy and how incredible it is as a system of medicine. And so we share a deep passion for that. And Reeta's going to talk to us today about some of the remedies that she's been using lately, and also about some of the work that she does. So she's also a teacher as well, amazing teacher of homeopathy. And tell us how you found homeopathy, because this is always such an intriguing, situation for me anyway.
Okay, so I was traveling around the world and I came back to Finland. I went on a tour around the world. And I was having really strange symptoms. I was 20 years old. So tomorrow, that's like 28 years ago, quite a long time.
Yeah, your birthday tomorrow.
Yes. I love this May season. So I had the weirdest symptoms. And of course, I went to the doctor and they couldn't, explain what was happening. I guess I did a few antibiotics or cortisol. I had like a kind of like an inflammation in my body that I didn't know what was happening. I was usually really healthy. And then I went to a homeopath and I got 1 dose of phosphorus C200 and I got completely cured.
Wow.
And I was like, what is this? I had been interested in herbs. I was using gemstones. I was doing all kinds of things. I grew up in Africa. So for me, natural stuff was normal, but I had been looking for a system that, talks to me. So I was a searcher. I was studying religions. I was planning to go and study human rights law, which was really like my passion. But then homeopathy came in. I was working in the advertisement field and I just kind of left it. Then I got pregnant with my first son at the age of 21, Amadeus. And in my pregnancy, I didn't go and see a homeopath, but when he was born, and of course I was a young mother at the age of 22, he didn't sleep and he had a little bit of eczema and things like that. So I went to see my homeopath. And 1 dose of a remedy and he was completely cured. He was a baby that slept. And after 2 months, I was studying homeopathy.
Wow.
So I have been a homeopath since year 2000. And I've treated all my children because after that, I gave birth to 3 other children. So even already with Amadeus, even though I didn't have homeopathy, but I had active birth. So, I was doing natural birth, water birthing. I became a maternal yoga instructor. And the moment, I got pregnant, I felt like lightning hit me and I jumped into my womb.
Wow. Yeah.
To be heart wisdom. And I became womb wisdom. And I'm still on that road. So Amadeus made me a homeopath. He showed me my life purpose. And after that, I've just been continuing on that path.
Oh,
and
I
then,
love it.
with my 3 other kids, they were born in water, their father is a homeopath as well. We met in homeopathy school, so I have 3 homeopathic kids, and they were completely like, I was using homeopathy in the births, and definitely it was so wonderful, and I wanted to share this wisdom with other people. So as I graduated, I immediately started doing first aid courses for mothers, because I wanted mothers to be strong and empowered. And I felt that if they have this little kit with them, they know what to do with their kids, because I was always kind of like a freedom fighter, and I always believed in mothers' rights. And of course, being an active birthing, maternal yoga instructor, you believe more in breathing than anything else.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's where the power lies as well. I think when you experience homeopathy on that level, bringing it to all the other mothers becomes, very important. And it's because it's just, there's no side effects to it. It's, there's a whole kit there to choose from when you're birthing. And yeah, it's just incredibly, it works on so many levels. If you're birthing and you get fearful, there's remedies to help with the fear. If you're suffering from muscular cramps really badly, or the baby's not turning correct, anything you can think of, there's a remedy there for that, and that kit isn't there.
Yes. And also when you're pregnant, it's so beautiful, because you're not supposed to use any, conventional drugs. And, if you're constipated, or if you're nervous, or if you have fear for death, or if actually womb trauma is the big thing I work with. If you had a bad birth before, so many of my mothers have a wonderful birth the second time.
Yes.
They get empowered by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think particularly in this times in Finland now, I'm not sure what's going on, but in the hospitals here, they're not letting the fathers into the birth with the mothers at the moment because of everything that's going on. So there's this whole new level of anxiety that women are experiencing because they're having to birth on their own. No husband, no partner, no family members allowed in to assist in any way. So the remedies have come in really, really handy for these mums at the moment. Is it the same in Finland, Reeta, with the hospital births?
Well, when it was like locked down, the father was allowed, but with a mask on. But I've been recently to 2 births where a doula was allowed as well.
Fantastic.
So, fortunately, yes. But of course, it is a challenge that people cannot come and see you in the hospital. So they're restricting it a little bit. But fortunately, so far, Finland is doing pretty well, and mothers kind of still have their rights.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have birthing centers there for women? I know because before I became a homeopath, I was using homeopathic medicine. And when I became pregnant with my first child, that's when I really, really got into it as well, similar to you. And I had 2 home births in New Zealand with my first 2 children using only homeopathy as well. And the system there is so different to Ireland. And if you do end up going into hospital in New Zealand, they have birthing suites there, and it's a whole maternity ward that has, they have pools in the birthing wards. And, if you want to have a ward of birth, that option is available to you. They only really have that here, as far as I know, in Dublin. And my 2 home births here were also incredible. We just hired a pool off a midwife, and my last 2 kids were born in a birthing pool at home.
Wow.
So that was amazing as well. And one of those, I was talking to Antoinette about this. My 3rd baby was what you call a free birth, because it was just myself and my husband there. And it was just incredible. All we had was the homeopathy kit, Bob Marley playing on the music and the stereo, and he just arrived. It was so gentle and peaceful and quiet and calm, and there was just, you know, such a different energy there than I think what a lot of mothers have experienced around birth. And I mean, this is your work. This is how you're trying to empower women and help them understand that they can have these amazing natural births and that they have the ability to do it themselves.
Exactly. So when I was giving birth to my first son 26 years ago, there was a natural birthing center that I went to, but it was a hospital.
Okay.
But pretty much like in Finland, midwives are very strong. So doctors don't come into birth. And that already makes it not so medical. My two middle ones, it was difficult to go to that place. So they had like a natural birthing center in a hospital. So I could just give birth. Midwife was just crying watching me giving birth in water. So actually I felt like, you know, I wasn't really examined and it was like a home birth. And my last one, I went back to the same center and she was actually 3 weeks late and she was 3 days I was birthing her. And they were not in a hurry. And actually, when she was born, she was 3 days late, maybe. So the ultrasound, but I would have been operated somewhere else. But I gave all and she was just perfectly fine. She got 10 points and everything. But fortunately, after that, I've been so happy to train so many of my patients became midwives.
Oh,
and
wow.
they're home midwives and they know everything about homeopathy because I've been training them all along. And if I had a baby now, I would do a home birth and I would have a huge team with me. Like one of my friends, she has a home birthing center at her home.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes,
yeah.
They are rebellious, wonderful. So home births in Finland, let's say 10 years, they've existed. And then 50 years ago, of course, everybody gave birth in sauna.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the women would actually go into the sauna?
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Because you have clean water there. Of course, it wasn't heated full volume, but you know, you'd go in the sauna. It's really nice to have all different kinds of poses there. You'd relax, and then the midwife would be there with you. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That sounds amazing because when you give birth in the water, the pool has to be a minimum of 36 degrees to allow for the baby to emerge, that it doesn't get a shock, that the temperature is exactly the same as inside the womb as the baby's coming out. So I guess you can monitor the temperature of the sauna to be the same, you know, and not too hot because you're so hot anyway when you're giving birth, aren't you? Oh wow, I didn't know that, Reeta. That's amazing. And do women still do that now? Is there?
Well, some might if they do it at home. The challenge is that many mothers don't dare to give birth, you know, without the birthing team. And you know, we are really like Helsinki, you know, capital. We have the most team here. So if you're up in Lapland, you know, so then many times it's a really long way to the hospital in case
it's more remote. Yes.
Yeah.
That's much like, that's why the home birthing is quite popular in New Zealand, because there's quite a few remote areas, believe it or not, in New Zealand where the hospital is too far to travel to anyway, and most women would end up giving birth in the car. Particularly near where I'm from, you have the East Cape on the North Island, and it's a lot of national park around there, but there are communities of people living, and often the midwife will travel to them and they will have home births unless they've opted for a hospital birth. But the birth in the sauna sounds incredible.
Especially having a pool there would be so wonderful. You are in the heat and then you're in the water.
Yeah. They're so different. I mean, my first with my firstborn, I had the pool there and I was in the pool, but I couldn't connect with what was going on in my body. It made me feel like I was out of my body because, you know, it's only, the pool is only kind of, you kneel down in it basically. You know, if you stand up in it, it's only up to your thighs. So you're kneeling in the pool. But for me, I felt like I couldn't gauge what was going on in my body. So I ended up getting out of the pool and delivering him on a mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
And my second, I had a daughter second, she just came so fast. She wasn't waiting on anybody. Like the midwife opened the door and she's like, oh, I can see your head coming out. So I didn't even have time to get in the pool with her. She was a fast birth. And I think it's really funny because when they come out really fast, they haven't had time for their face to kind of, you know, her face was all mushed up, and she looked really cute. She was all crinkled and really loud. You know, she arrived into the world with a bang. And then the last two boys born here in Ireland, they were both water births, and it was such a different energy.
Yeah.
Did you find that with your water births that it just adds that? I mean, water obviously is related to our emotions on such a deep level anyway. And did you find, Reeta, with your water births that the energy was so different to just having?
So with my first one, I wanted to have a water birth, but the natural center was afraid they might be closing. They weren't having funds, so they didn't want mothers to give birth in the water, just in case if something happens. So 6 minutes before I gave birth, they asked me to come out. I couldn't hide the fact that he was coming. I tried.
Yeah.
You know. But I went on a chair and I gave birth to him. And actually, you know, I got quite broken. Of course, it was the first time. But, you know, with the other ones, I didn't have homeopathy then. With the other ones, I had homeopathy. And I gave birth in water. And actually, I found, because I like to ground myself, and in water, it's a challenge. So I understand what you said about the first. But there was something up in the air that I could pull, and then, you know, kind of be leaning down or then leaning forward. And I found the power like that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, with my firstborn, I was bearing down on my best friend's arms. You know, she had her arms like this. I was kneeling and I was pushing down. And when she came to visit the next day, you know, I was saying, how are you? She's like, I feel like I've been hit by a bus. But she was fully supporting me, resisting my pushing.
She needed some arnica like the doulas need after birth.
Yeah, exactly. And another one of my best friends, actually Anushka, I've interviewed her on this channel. She had a rope hanging from her ceiling, and we put the pool kind of beside the rope, and she gave birth that way as well. It was incredible, actually. And when her baby was born, she came out fully in the sack. The whole, it was amazing. Yeah, it was really powerful. Yeah. And I was prescribing for her at her birth, and what remedy did I give her? Because nothing was happening. And then I said, it was either Simisafuga or Phytolacca. Gave her one of those remedies, and whoosh, the baby just flew out like a torpedo. It was incredible. And you know, here they call it the core when they're still inside the sac, and they say that those babies have magical powers.
Yes, my little Emily was born like that as well. He's a Scorpio, and he was pretty blue, and we called him the Krishna baby. Like in India. And the next month he was completely red. And he's got superpowers. I mean, like, definitely. And he loves the water so much. He was 10 when he started scuba diving. Just when he could, he got his PhD at 10. And yeah, he's just like a whale person, you know. He's just a deep water person.
Yeah. My two youngest, all my children are really water babies. Yeah, they all love the sea. I mean, we live so close to the sea. It's only a couple of miles away from us here, and we do try and get in as much as possible, even in the winter. like you know, you're into your cold water swimming as well, aren't you?
Yes.
In the lake.
My kids as well, you know, I've taught them. We've been up north with -20 degrees and the water is +4. So you actually go and warm yourself up in the water. It's the crazy Finnish style.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to come and visit you, because I've always had this thing about being in the sauna and then running and jumping in the lake and then back into the sauna and into the lake. And that,
Yes.
that it's like hydrotherapy, isn't it? It creates a really amazing kind of pump in your body, because you get the stimulation from the cold and you get the stimulation from the heat, but it has a different action, doesn't it?
And it's like you feel so alive if you're stressed or if you're tired. As long as you go into the water, you have to also make your, you know, like kind of dive in or at least lift your head, because when you come up, you're like reborn every single time.
Yeah.
And welcome. We are having you teaching at our school in October. So, you know, that's a perfect time. It's dark. I hope you can come here live, because we're so going sauna and swimming in the sea.
That is in my intentions every day, that I can come to Helsinki in person to teach in October, and we don't have to do it via, you know, via Zoom. Yeah, we keep lighting a candle for that one every day. It will be amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us, Reeta, you know, tell us a little bit about the school and how many students you have, and, you know, how long a course is to study. Do you study online? I think that's a really interesting,
So Transformational School of Homeopathy Helsinki is a 4-year curriculum, the same as they have in Ireland and England and in the States and whatever. So you become a classical homeopath. And usually we study, so I'm here at our school. We are in the center of Helsinki, nearby the sea, in a beautiful Hogwarts, yellow, inspirational school surrounding. So usually we are here live, and, you know, our school is really communal and co-creative. I am the principal. I'm running it together with Aune, who is actually a theater director. She works at the University of Theater as a professor. And then Nina is our you know, ground with us.
Nina, beautiful Nina. Yeah.
Yes. And then we have, you know, very well-trained homeopaths who've been working at least 20 years that are working. We have like a staff of 10 people. So now that we are in these special times, we put everything online.
Yeah.
So we have an online course happening. It's in Finnish. And then we also have, like this weekend, we are going to have some teaching. So people can come here to study, and some are on Zoom. So people can choose.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so there's like, for example, our second graders, they have a really bonded team who always want to sit here. So we let them sit. And we are hoping for it to normalize. We don't really want to be an online school, except with a few teachers, because we're all fluent in English. You know, we are not only from Finland, so we are also starting an online course in English, let's say in the next year or something. We also have wonderful teachers like you know, like I think you were interviewing Declan Hammond. He's one of our staff teachers.
Yes, Declan, yeah.
Yes, Jeremy Shear has been here. Camilla Shear is teaching us a lot. Divya Chopra was just teaching from India. Misha Norland.
Amazing.
Janet Snowden is coming. So actually practically everyone in the world, you know, we are always inviting 2 to 3 times a year. We have an international seminar, which is open for everyone, you know, because it's not translated into Finnish. One of our things is like, it's also an English school. If you don't know English, you better learn it with us. So
you get schooled quickly. That's brilliant though, because there must be, you know, I'd say a lot of Finnish people would love to have English, because it opens up, you know, when they do decide to practice it, and because we're such online consultants now, it opens up that bigger line of, I guess, people for them to take the cases for.
Yeah.
Amazing. How long has the school been there now?
The school has been from, I can't remember the year, but I think it's about 1988. And it had it was by Dutch people who brought it to Finland. And then it's had different owners. Yeah. And I've been teaching since 2008. And I think it was 2020 when I became an owner to the school. And then I've been a principal for the past 5-6 years.
Amazing.
And I've been teaching ever since. And I've been in charge very much of doing triturations and provings.
Yes, let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah, because that's amazing. So what provings have you done, and what has been your favorite one?
Okay, so I started with the Ethiopian fire opal because I used to live in Ethiopia. That was pretty amazing. It was also quite intense, as the gemstones can be quite dynamic and dynamite. And with the dynamis Copenhagen, we did hafnium, and with the dynamic Helsinki, we did honey. And then in our school, because as a thesis you can do a proving, we had like 6 years that students were just doing so many provings that now I said, okay, we need a year off because so much was happening. So we did 5 Finnish remedies, which were birch. Then there was this Siberian jay, and then we did a big blackbird. I can't remember the name in English. Then like kind of a goose. Then we did twin flower. Then we did, what else did we do? A blueberry. So we're thinking of Finnish energy. Plus one student did smoke sauna trituration, but that was outside the curriculum, but as her thesis. And just now we finished ceremonial cacao. So one of the 4th graders did that, and we are going to have a ceremonial cacao ceremony for their graduation.
Oh, fantastic! I just got some ceremonial cacao. First time I bought ceremonial cacao this month, so hoping to do a ceremony soon with that. With some of I have a kind of a group of wise women around here, and we gather on the full moon. So we're hoping to do. Yeah.
That's so wonderful, because we are comparing it with Camilla Scher's chocolate. That's a remedy that we've used a lot, and I always teach it at the school.
Yeah, amazing remedy.
And then we have a small group of teachers that we've done mostly triturations, because I've studied a lot with Alice Timmerman. So we've done Maria Magdalena, we've done angel energy, we've done peacock, we've done placenta, whatever comes into our mind. And at the moment we are doing the astrological, Mars and Saturn and all of these things.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I have to talk to you about that, definitely. That has been coming into my field lately with some of the frequencies that I've been making. So yes, we need to have an off-camera chat about that.
Yes. And actually next Friday we are doing the frequency 825.
Fantastic.
Frequency, yeah. So we can talk about that too as well.
Oh, great. So have you got the tuning fork or the crystal bowl, or you're going to run it from something else?
We actually have one of my close friends is doing all of her music with that frequency. So I think we'll say that. That's the
amazing, Reeta. That is so exciting. There's so much information now available to people about the power of using sound as healing, and also the potentizing the frequency. So I guess for everybody that's watching, when we make a homeopathic remedy, it has to go through a certain process. And what Reeta was saying about trituration is you literally have a pestle and mortar, and you are grinding the remedy up and removing some of it and adding more saclac and grinding again. And it's quite a slow process, isn't it, Reeta?
Well, it takes the whole day to make the remedy. But after that, I
But
think it
as
also,
you're doing it as well, as you're making the remedy, because most people don't have an understanding of this process, as you're making the remedy, the energy of that remedy is being released. So you start to feel what like the remedy's keynotes might be. You start to possibly sometimes get symptoms of what that remedy can cure in a sick person. You can start to have visions if you're sensitive enough. The remedy starts to speak to you when you're doing the trituration process. So it's a really amazing experience to have, and you're making notes while you're doing it. And of course, Reeta, I've only done a couple of those. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it's really exciting. It's like the magic of the substance is released in that moment, and the healing qualities that that you can utilize become apparent a lot of the time, don't they?
yes. So if we go back to Organon, the philosophy book by Samuel Hahnemann, he says that get to know your own remedies, make them so you know how potent they are and you're sure. Of course, nowadays we're using pharmacies, but I must say personally that these remedies that I've been triturating or inner proving, so there's like 3 different kinds of provings. One is the Hahnemannian, where you give a certain group of people, you know, homeopathic remedy that they don't know, and there's always placebo. And then, you know, you're following them for a month or sometimes even up to half a year and writing down all the symptoms, all the dreams, everything. And people need to be healthy. It's never done on animals. And then, you know, not on children, and you do it voluntarily. So that's like basic traditional. But then there's this trituration when it's kind of like a shamanistic trip. When you want to know what a bird thinks or whatever, put a part of the bird. Of course, you never harm the bird. So when we've done them, it's like a little part of the feather that they have given away. And when you do the trituration process until C5, which means 5 hours, you are a part of the feather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, it's like the magic starts talking, and that's true. You see dreams, you see visions, you get feelings, and so on. And then there are meditative provings that people do, like, for example, Madeleine Evans has done much of her work on the meditative provings. So you actually potentize it while you are in the group and you write things. So that's kind of like the shortest.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of them
amazing.
are
They all have their place in homeopathy. And I think I remember actually when we were training, oh goodness, the lecturer's name has just gone from my head. She was an amazing American lady, and she came over to do a huge weekend on autism and, you know, kind of side effects of the injections and stuff. And she had a singing bowl, and she worked a lot with matrodonal remedies, which Reeta and I both use a lot in our practice. And we'll come back to what matrodonals are, but she put a placenta inside the singing bowl with a little bit of water, and then started to chime the outside of it while we had all been kind of getting ready into our meditative state. And afterwards, it must have been about 10 or 15 minutes afterwards, then we just free wrote what happened to us, you know, and it was just the most amazing experience. We didn't really all have the same symptoms. Everybody's experience was different, but it was all in tune and in keeping with, you know, the placenta and how it can exhibit itself in different ways. And people's experiences were so incredibly powerful. Like, some people felt really squashed and like they couldn't move and they couldn't get out and they were trapped and stuck, you know, and like being inside the womb.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. That was a great experience as a student to go through that. So do you do provings with your first years, or do you wait until they're kind of a little bit further along on their studies, Reeta?
Usually first years not, but I teach them how to make a remedy. So that's kind of proving. They can choose what they make, and then I teach them how to potentize it and what a homeopathic remedy is. But if I teach, for example, the sea remedies, we can have a lot of the shells and sepia, or many kinds seawater. We have a lot of remedies from the sea. I always usually use the same singing bowl and put like aquamarina, like seawater there, and then have them experience and have them settle into the sea energy.
Yes. Oh, amazing. That sounds brilliant.
Or if we have, because we teach a lot of family, so I always invite them into the energy, so it's kind of like a mini proving. So but for example, the triturations or the provings that we do at school, they are to 2nd to the 4th graders.
Yeah. Bit more of a deeper understanding then of what they're doing and how the process is unfolding. And it's so amazing. I think there's so much we can talk about, and we could go off on so many tangents, couldn't we? And we could just really kind of get lost in it all, because it's such a huge system of medicine. And I know with a lot of homeopaths, some people do, they specialize, they'll train to be homeopaths, and they have this resonance with making remedies more so than with kind of practicing to be a homeopath. And other homeopaths go more into kind of I guess the political side of it, and making sure that everything is there's a guy here in Ireland, Michael Smith, he's in the kind of council of homeopaths, making sure everything is okay on that end. Reeta's gone into every kind of aspect of it and embodies it all, and this is why she's such a phenomenal homeopath, because she literally lives and breathes homeopathy. And I mean, I know that from just hanging out with her. We've had many amazing conversations. And I think we were just discussing before we came on what remedies we've been using kind of in this past year. And I guess with everything that's been going on lately with people getting the shot, there's been this whole theme of kind of disconnection and division, and it's on so many levels. So we wanted to discuss the remedies that have come up in our practices, just to give you guys an understanding that it's not lost. Even if your family members have decided to go down the route of getting the shot, there are plenty of ways that we can help. As homeopaths, we have over 4,000 remedies that we can use, and there's particularly different protocols as well that we follow that help to detox. And I think both Reeta and I have had clients to use various different protocols on. Let's discuss you were talking about oxytocin. So you go for it. Tell everybody,
So oxytocin is love. And it's actually when a baby is born and when the mother and the baby, connect for the first time outside the womb, there's a huge amount of oxytocin.
Yeah.
It's about connection. The same when people make love together, oxytocin rises in the brain.
Yeah.
So what has happened in these times when you need to wear a mask and you're separate from people, you're not allowed to touch, there's a lack of oxytocin.
Yeah.
A lack of love. So people get a lot of anxiety, their stress levels, their cortisol shoot up, and especially young people are really devastated, staying in 20 square meter houses, and completely alone, not meeting anyone. They need oxytocin. I mean, like completely.
Yeah.
And I think the consumption of dark chocolate has gone like so high up. Also, unfortunately, because people want to be a part of, society, and they want to connect. And mother's milk is the first one that when a baby is born, what the baby is really really working on and surviving on. And mother's milk has a lot of oxytocin.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a wonderful study done in Estonia that they gave the cow's first milk. They made a remedy out of it that you put in your nose like a spray. And
Yeah.
for 4 hours, it gave full immunity.
Wow.
Everything. And I'm like, why don't we use things like this before the concert or whatever? I just heard about it, and it's full of oxytocin. It's full of all the antibodies for everything. Completely safe when you are being breastfed.
Wow.
There's wisdom
This
there.
is in Estonia. Amazing.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to navigate because a lot of people have been told, oh, you have to have the shot to work, you have to have the shot to travel, you have to have it to do, you know, X, Y, and Z. But also in the same breath, you can still catch the virus, you can still pass it on. There's no sense made in it whatsoever. And it's just the times that we're living in are a little bit mad. People are being fed a lot of information, you know, that isn't correct. And it's definitely having this kind of energy of division for people, because we've had a year of it, of being battered with, you know, really, you should do this and you should do that. And I think homeopathy this year has grown faster than any other year that it's been around, hasn't it? I know somebody was saying that Ainsworth, which is a pharmacy in London, the queue down the street for Ainsworth was incredible for a long time. And most homeopaths actually this year, business has really, really done really well, because people are looking for a different system of healing, and that, you know, pharmaceutical medicine only suppresses your symptoms. With homeopathy, we're looking to get to the root cause of the symptoms and heal you on all levels. You're not broken into a department or a body part or a system. It's all encompassed. And particularly in these times that we're living in, like Reeta was saying, all our things like oxytocin and dopamine and adrenaline and cortisol, all your hormones, as homeopaths, we can prescribe those particular things to you in potency, and they're not synthetic. They're actually what they say they are on the bottle. And the same with the mother's milk, lac humanum, and then we have lac maternum. I've prescribed that to people post injection, and it brings them back into their body, connects them back to the human race, helps them to remember that they're a part of a bigger family of humanity, because that's the, you know, that's that disconnection again that's been going on. It's like you get the jab and suddenly you're kind of outside your body to some extent.
That's the same as what happens in trauma, you know, you disconnect.
Yeah.
And that's why these remedies, the matridonal remedies, which are, you know, your umbilical cord or your you know, the mother's milk, and then, you know, well, there is vernix caseosa, then there is the placenta and the water,
amniotic fluids.
All of them are full of oxytocin, and all of them are really great. And actually, if you look at autistic children, what it really is about, you know, they're disconnected, they're in their own planet, which is perfectly fine for them. But for them to function in this society, these remedies are wonderful for bringing them back, kind of like to the connection with the mother, to the connection with Mother Earth, to the connection with people. So, you know, we are living kind of in quite autistic times, especially here in the West.
Yeah, the West, yeah. But sometimes I was thinking that this morning, actually, because they're really pushing this green passport here now, and apparently it's happening. And my thought around that was, well, is this what's happening in Africa, in India, in Japan, and all the other countries in the world, or is it just Ireland? England, America, New Zealand, Australia. Have you guys been pushed into get the green passport as well, or?
Kind of. Finland is kind of like half, but since we are in the EU, so we are,
Yes.
our legislative luckily is really slow. So, you know,
Okay.
they tried also in Finland to make a curfew and things like that, but it was against law, it was against the legislative, and they couldn't change it so quickly that then, you know, the numbers went down and then they didn't need it. So
Okay.
this way, you know, human rights are a big thing in Finland.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it's happening here, but I mean, I remember years ago I wanted to go to Zanzibar. I was traveling to Kenya. This is 1996, and if I wanted to go to Zanzibar, I had to have my yellow fever and my Hep B, and of course in those days, so I was only about 19 or 20, and I said, fine, I'm going to get it because Zanzibar was on my bucket list for so long. And I was really sick after those 2 shots, and that was when my awareness first, you know, came about how actually they're not all they're cracked up to be, and there is side effects on them. So my interest was sparked all those days back then, and even taking the malaria tablets. I lasted 2 days on the malaria tablets, and then I said no more. And throughout my trip then in Kenya, I met several people who'd had side effects from those exact malaria tablets. So I really felt like, okay, I've done the right thing not taking them. I didn't get malaria. I got bitten by mosquitoes, but I think I was drinking enough gin.
Yes, that's the best thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, the matrodonal remedies actually have been amazing, especially in Ireland here. When we were on lockdown and everybody was re-emerging, there was another good friend of ours, Antoinette Byrne, who's also a homeopath. She spoke very highly of vernix. And for those of you that don't know, vernix is this kind of creamy covering that's on your skin just after you've been born. And unfortunately, in a lot of hospitals, they rub that off babies, but that is a really important layer of protection. It's nourishing the skin, and it has that ability to make that baby feel safe and calm. And by rubbing it off, I don't know if they do it so much now, but you know, you can remember them kind of holding the baby up and toweling them down. It's really important that that doesn't get rubbed off. And as a homeopathic remedy, homeopaths were prescribing that as people were coming out of lockdown and going back into society, to give them, you know, that kind of sense of protection and that they were sheltered. And because there was a lot of stress around that, even for some of my clients who were going back to teaching, they were terrified because they were so worried that they might give something to the parents or to the children, or that they would pick something up and then give it to their elderly, you know, family. Not so much that they would get it. So I was prescribing vernix and lacumanum and spectrum.
Yes.
Did you use much of the spectrum?
Yes. Especially, you know, around the area of getting the vaccination. It's been one of the big remedies around there. But also because spectrum is like vernix, the same, that it gives you kind of like protection.
Yeah.
If you are sensitive to smells or the mole or people or whatever. So it works pretty much in the same way.
Yeah, that's what I said to people. What I was seeing was it was working on a kind of a really amazing energetic level, in the sense that it would fortify people's torus field or biomagnetic field or aura, whatever you want to call it. It would imbue that aura with all the colors of the rainbow, and just, you know, make people feel whole and that they were surrounded in this bubble of light.
Yes.
which we always talk about when we're doing protection. You're visualizing yourself in a bubble of light, whatever color that is to you, and that's what Spectrum was giving. I prescribed it to quite a few nurses who were working on COVID wards, and none of them got sick that I know of. Yeah. So
it's definitely a remedy that has come up, and it's also a big remedy that I use in birth, when for mothers to come back into their power, because it's so important that you are in your birthing power and not outside of yourself. Spectrum just kind of cleans up the chakras and puts you back into yourself. So that's one of the remedies in birth as well.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, this is great. So what's actually, there's so many remedies to choose from, but have you got like a favorite remedy?
I love the gemstones that I've also been prescribed a lot. I'm actually on amethyst at the moment, and I'm really loving. Funnily, when I had a wedding ring, it was an amethyst. So,
Yeah. I'd never prescribed that. And Reeta and I were talking last week, and she said she'd just been prescribed it. And literally that same day, I had prescribed it to a client in Australia. And she messaged me back and she said, of all the gemstones there are, she's never ever fancied amethyst. It's just never been one that's resonated with her. And she'd just had a birthday. Her husband had just bought her an amethyst necklace.
Wow.
She'd gone into this gem shop and there was an amethyst in there, and it just called her, and she had to buy it. This big whopping amethyst. So she bought it. I didn't know any of this. I did the session. I did a distance healing on her, and I said, you need amethyst. And she fed back the information to me. So I think it's amazing how things come into your life like that.
Yeah.
And then you can take them also as a remedy to really help that energy nourish you on so many levels. And the amethyst is is crown chakra. Yeah, and it's a master healer as well. It's like clear quartz, rose quartz. There's some of them that are hugely they're kind of, I guess, like what we call in homeopathy a polycrest. So a polycrest is a remedy that has lots of different symptoms. And so amethyst is a crystal that can heal lots of different ailments. And it's also, again, Reeta, it's hugely incredible for protection. Yes. Amethyst is a crystal that's amazing for protection. It seems like we all need to up our protection at the moment because there's so much different energies flying around, and I think protection, doing your clearing and doing your grounding every day, guys, you actually need to be vigilant on those three things. So what do you do for those three things? Have you got rituals or?
Yes, I'm really very much into doing rituals. I mean, that's something. What I do every morning, I take a bath with aroma oils, depending on how I feel, and then I put always sea salt in it. So I might take a bath and also have a swim in the sea. That's really like getting my energies back and so on. And I also like looking at cards. They tune me in, and of course candles and incense, and then with every new moon and every full moon, and also because I study astrology and Codex Astrology, which is like another form of astrology. It's astrosophy, so it's a feminine way of coming into the world.
Oh yes.
So I do a lot of ceremonies with that. Like we are having a really powerful full moon.
Yes.
On the 26th, so I'm preparing already for that.
Yes, yeah, me too. So have you actually, that's amazing because I love astrology as well. I've not studied it like you are, but I've always, since I was a child, had an interest in it and looked at the stars and charted things. And I literally was only saying to somebody yesterday that I know more and more homeopaths now who are studying astrology, and they're using it as a fusion with their homeopathy. And I know I watched an interview with a really incredible homeopath called Colin Griffith just the other day, actually, and he also uses astrology, which I didn't know. Are you starting to use it within your prescribing and your practice?
Well, in this Codex Astrology, which is a really special type, for example, we have different kind of symbols of the stars. We've got the wolf there, we've got the bee, and you know, I have homeopathic remedies, and many of them I've already made a proving out of. So, you know, in that way, I'm tuning in to the astrological sign, which is also, you know, a homeopathic remedy.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I'm really like experimenting it in a beautiful way. And also because some things from the astrological chart, for example, the North Node that tells our soul purpose here, I look at it with my patients, and then I can, you know, give them a little hint which way they should be going, because the South Node is what we already know. So, you know, when you combine those two, you are in your fullest potential.
Oh, wow.
To have an awareness about these things helps you be in your center. And we support that with homeopathy. But it's so wonderful to read the chart. And, you know, of course, the chart is just like a map. And then the person decides how to live their life.
Yeah.
But it gives a little bit of, you know, direction or, you know, potential. So yeah, and I think the feminine way is like co-create with the patient, you know, what resonates with them, and then we can open it up with homeopathy. So kind of like your soul purpose gets more, you know, lighted up and more clear. When we're in homeopathic treatment, you know, the 9th paragraph of Samuel Hahnemann, to live our highest, you know, purpose of life, to be free of all the physical and mental and emotional things, we really can, you know, peel the onion.
Yeah.
And when you do spiritual work, of course, with meditation and all of this, you're coming into your center. But it's so wonderful to have together homeopathy that really, like, it kind of quickens things and makes it, you know, softer and makes it easier to find your path.
That's exactly what I was saying yesterday, is that it kind of points you in the direction of a remedy quicker, because you can see the essence of that person through their chart. It's just incredible. I think this year, more than any, I've had so many people walk through my door or online consultation, and they're like, I just don't know what my soul purpose is. I really want to find my purpose. I've been doing this job for 20 years. It's just holding me back. I know I'm meant to be doing X, Y, and Z, and helping them to unlock that potential has just been such an honor. So many people have moved from, you know, wild oat, you know, the bark flower remedy, wild oat. And that in combination with oak and larch as well, those three this year, I've prescribed them a lot for people to help them kind of slow down, come into their heart, find their soul purpose, and actually have the courage and the strength to just go for it. I think that's a gift from this year, from what's happened, is it has given people the allowance and the time and the courage to just, okay, I've done this job for so long, it's not actually lifting me up or lighting me, you know, lighting my soul in any way, shape or form. I'm going to retrain. And for me, so many of my clients have gone into herbalism or sound therapy. They're all starting to want to work in the healing field, which is just,
it's so beautiful. It seems like people are really waking up, and one of my astrology teachers said it really beautifully, that we are in the age of Aquarius.
Yeah,
are still in Pisces and maybe never will come there, and that is perfectly fine. As homeopaths, we are unprejudiced observers. It doesn't mean somebody is higher or lower, but so many are waking up into the age of Aquarius, and instead of me, it's us.
yes, yeah. Yeah, and that is our work as well, you know. I'm on the same level as you. I like to empower all my clients to know they're as equally as powerful as anybody else, and if they set their mind and their heart to do something and to achieve something, then it will happen without a shadow of a doubt. It's simple, but we're just humans and we like to complicate matters, don't we?
We used to live in the villages. I always say that Finnish people are village people. It's not a long time ago. We were in small villages, and there, to survive the winter, we needed to support each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we're going back to this kind of village kind of thinking, which is the blessing of our time, to really like, go back to the roots.
Yeah, absolutely. Come back to your community, you know, make your connections where you are and start to build on that. There's a really cool vibe in my community around here. We live rurally, but friends have set up a house, and they've put a polytunnel in, and food is being grown, and we're making ginger beer, and you know, there's all these little things happening. We exchange food that we grow, or we'll barter for, you know, I'll give you this, you give me that. You just have to start to think a little bit more about your community and what your offerings are. And oh, this
it's a new way of living. It's an invitation for slowing down and really going back to the roots.
And
it is
back to our roots. And that's how I think we, you know, this new earth that everybody's talking about birthing, for me on a personal level, I think that's what it's about, is connecting with people in your community and you know, trading things and helping each other out, and just like you said, you have to support. That's where it is, isn't it? The support has to come within the community. It's harder in cities, of course, because there's so many more people and everybody's a bit more frantic. But don't forget,
you can still make your tribe. Like I live in the capital and I live in the city, but I have my tribe that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess maybe you should let people know how can they find you if they'd like, you know, for your magic and your wisdom as a homeopath, or if they want to study with the Transformational School of Homeopathy in Helsinki. How can everyone get hold of you, Reeta? I'll put all your links in too.
Yes. So for the school, you can just Google Transformational School of Homeopathy Helsinki. And it's actually www.homeopathyschool.fi. So, you know, you can find it, but you can find it by the name. And you can see our seminars, you know, for the international seminars. That's most probably what could be interesting for people. I do Zooms, you know, and I do consultations, and you can find me with Reeta Pohjonen, Homeopathy. Maybe Janey can put that.
I'll put all your links.
A little and some Spanish and Finnish. So, you know, I can do consultations in many languages. We didn't talk about mental health and young people. So, you know, drug addiction and, well, it's all about the matridonal remedies. Again, you know, no connection. So this is a theme that I work with as well, because my son passed away 1.5 years ago. His remedy, by the way, was amethyst. So it's funny that it's coming as a grieving remedy.
Yeah.
And I do work with mothers and parents that go through the grieving process of losing children. So, you know, together as birthing children, I'm also helping as a death doula.
Yes.
So that's,
Oh,
you know,
gosh, give me the full body
yeah.
tingle there, Reeta.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And I
that's,
mean, you come from such a deep place of sympathy and empathy and understanding for that, because you've gone through it yourself. And that kind of wisdom is just invaluable in those circumstances. You never ever think that you'll lose a child before your own life, you know. So if anybody has gone through that and is struggling, I highly recommend touching base with Reeta, because she knows how you're feeling and she's gone through it herself. So give her a shout. And yeah.
Homeopathy is really, really great in supporting with this, with any kinds of grief processes. And I think it's an invitation to life, really, as Declan Hammond told me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Declan's the same as well. He's also lost a son, so he works a lot with the similar families, and he's on another interview. So if you want to see Declan's interview, have a look there. But Reeta, thank you so much, honey. Oh, love you so much. So good to chat to you. And please, if anybody's interested, I'll put all the links in the description below for Reeta. But thank you so much, sister.
Thank you so much.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you for watching. Chat to you soon. Bye.